Now that our clone is set up and our polygon tags are there, I've gone ahead and just tweaked mine just a little bit so the spacing's just a little bit better with everything. And what I'm going to do now is create some textures for here so this thing looks a little bit better than just flat gray. The way I'm going to do that is go to File, New Material. We'll double click, and this material will be front tile, very original. And we're going to select the color for it and apply a texture, say Load Image, and we're going to choose Tile. Easy enough. And that tile is in your Cinema 4D Images folder. And let's also go on and let's bump up the specularity a bit so it's just a little bit nicer, a little bit of a hot spot there. We can go ahead and put a bump map on if we wanted. And with the bump map, you can actually use the same texture, and it will look at the high and low values just for a little bit of interest. Okay, a little bit better off with the grayscale, but you can see there, just even that adds a little bit of nice interest on there. Okay, so then we're going to take this texture and drop it onto the cube, and you can see that those tile up very nicely. But they're also on the back. All right, not a problem because that's why we created those selection sets. And if you remember, the first polygon tag we created was called front tile. We're just going to select the actual material we just created, grab that tag, and drop it in there. And if you go back to the other side, you can see that the tile is only applied to that front surface. Okay, so we just isolated the texture. And of course, let's save the scene, Command S or Control S. You do a quick render. Okay, it's looking pretty nice. And we haven't even done any lighting yet. Okay, so that's good. Let's do one more. File, New Material. We'll double click this material, and this is back tile. Select the color as well. And go to Texture. Hit Load Image. And I've got a rust image on there. It's in the folders if you want. You can load your own image, load a picture, whatever you like. We'll increase the specularity a good bit as well, so it's nice and shiny. We'll flatten out the gloss just a little bit to fall off. And you can put some reflection on, transparency, maybe some luminous if you want, whatever you like. But you can also put on bump map and choose that same image. And again, a grayscale probably would work a little bit better. But you can get away with this because there's enough contrast in it. You can see it just kind of bumpy on there. And then we're going to take that back tile texture, drop it onto the cube. And with that texture selected, you can see it overrode what I had just done. All right, and that's because it's applied to the right. But if I take that polygon tag and drop it down as selection, I'm telling the tile, this is the selection I want you to be applied to. It's only on those back selected polygons. Okay, so now our tiles are set up. So we'll Command S to save. Let's add a little bit of fun lighting to it. So I'll come over here, and we've got our Omni light that we already used. We used an area light in the first project. So let's try a spotlight this time. Okay. Now, spotlight works really nicely because you can not only change its position for an effect, you can also change its rotation. Unlike an Omni light, only its position will change. So I'm just going to point this down. I'm actually going to just move it up as well. And press O to bring it to the center. And pop it in. Select the light, and we come down to the properties here for a spotlight. You can see you can change the color, the intensity, the type. We definitely want some shadows on, and we're just going to do some, let's try some shadow maps with this one, because we did the other shadows earlier. We're going to pop this up about like here, and let's rotate it slightly so it's casting down, just like that. Let's pull back a little bit, and let's just pull back this way, just so it's streaking down across there, which looks really nice. The last thing you can do with this is go to the Details tab, and you can change the angle of the light. So you can have an outer spread like this, so it softens those edges. You can change the aspect ratio, and you can also change the inner angle as well a little. Okay, and let's just do a quick render. Let's get in here and see what our scene looks like so far. I mean, you might want to increase the intensity, but I think this should work okay for us. So we've got a nice little light right there, working pretty well. Let's add one more light. I do want the intensity up higher, I think. And we're going to do that through the General tab. Let's bring the intensity up to about 125%. And you can see that that's nice and hot up there. It falls off very nicely because of that angle we just changed. So we'll come back here to our drop down. Let's add in an infinite light. Now the infinite light's going to light from everywhere. Just always, if we move it, it's not going to make a difference. All that's going to matter is its rotation. So let's just rotate this. So it just kind of fills from the back a little bit, like that. Okay. And I'm going to call this backlight in our object manager. So we stay organized, and we'll call this spotlight. Looks very nice. The backlight, we're going to make this just bright orange. Okay. And that way you can see when we're up inside there like that, we're going to get a really nice effect of those tiles coming through. And you'll see why in a minute. Okay. Nice orange highlights coming through the back. All right, so Command S to save the scene. Let's move on to the next video, and I'll show you how these tiles are going to be animated with MoGraph.